Today, we're digging into a new presidential order that's all about the materials that literally make our modern world run. We're talking about critical minerals. You know, the hidden ingredients inside everything from the phone in your hand to the nation's most advanced defense systems. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at what sparked this order in the first place. Then, we'll dive into the real supply chain risks America is facing. We'll get into what these minerals actually are, how the government is launching an investigation, and finally, the big one, what could happen next.
All right, let's jump right in. What was the catalyst here? Why did the White House decide to take this major step right now?
This quote from the order itself really says it all, doesn't it? It draws a direct, unbreakable line from having a secure supply of raw materials to having a strong economy, and ultimately, a strong national defense. This one idea is the entire foundation for everything we're about to talk about.
So, April 15th, 2025. That's the day the pen hit the paper. The president officially set in motion an investigation into just how much the U.S. relies on other countries for these minerals, framing it as a direct threat to national security.
Okay, so what is the core problem? Let's take a closer look at the exact supply chain risks that made this executive order feel so necessary.
The order spells out 4 big ones. First, just simple disruption. I mean, think about it. Geopolitical tensions, wars, even natural disasters can completely sever our supply chains almost overnight. Second, you've got market manipulation. Foreign suppliers can jack up prices or just stop exporting, leaving us in a really tough spot. Third, that dependence gives other countries real economic leverage over the U.S. And finally, over-reliance. We're basically putting all our eggs in 1 or 2 baskets, sourcing way too much from too few places, and that is a massive strategic vulnerability.
And this slide just lays out the stakes perfectly. It's a tale of 2 realities. On one side, you have the goal, a secure supply chain, fueling a stable economy, and keeping the nation ready for anything. On the other side, well, that's the current situation, a heavy dependence on imports that creates shortages, instability, and hands geopolitical leverage to others. This executive order is all about trying to close that dangerous gap.
So what exactly are these critical minerals? Let's get specific, because the things they're used for, well, that's why the stakes are so incredibly high. Now, the order is very precise here. We're not just talking about raw ore dug out of the ground. We're talking about processed minerals, materials that have already been refined into things like metal powders or special alloys, totally ready for manufacturers to use.
And the second key term to know is derivative products. Basically, this is all the stuff that's made from those processed minerals. And that can be anything from a semi-finished part, like a computer chip, all the way to the final products we use every single day.
And just look at this list. This is where it all hits home. These aren't some obscure industrial commodities. They are inside our smartphones. They're what make electric vehicles and their batteries actually work. They are fundamental to clean energy, like in wind turbines. And they are absolutely vital for national defense. We're talking jet engines, missile guidance systems, advanced radar, you name it.
Okay, so the problem's been identified, and it's a big one. Now what? What's the plan? This order isn't just about pointing out risks. It actually sets a very specific investigation in motion.
So the official tool they're using here is called a Section 232 investigation. It sounds technical, but it's basically a provision that gives the Department of Commerce the authority to investigate whether certain imports are a threat to our national security.
And this is not going to be a quick surface-level look. The Department of Commerce is being tasked with a really deep dive. They have to map out where every single one of these minerals comes from, analyze the political and economic risks from each source country, see if we're being hit with unfair pricing, and then take a good hard look at what the U.S. can actually produce at home. It's a complete top-to-bottom physical of the entire global supply chain. The order also puts this whole thing on a pretty tight clock. A draft report is due in 90 days, and the final report with actual recommendations has to be on the president's desk within 180 days. So in about 6 months, we should have a much clearer picture of what the government plans to do.
Which brings us to the biggest question of all, right? What happens next? This investigation isn't just an academic exercise, it's designed to trigger real policy changes. So let's explore the possible fallout.
So once this report lands, the president has the power to act. And the whole point of the investigation is to give him the justification and the roadmap to do exactly that.
The order itself gives us a few hints at the potential toolkit. We could definitely see things like tariffs on imports. We might see new rules designed to stop other countries from just finding loopholes around those tariffs. And maybe most importantly, we could see major new policies designed to boost production and recycling of these minerals right here in the United States.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really big thought. This isn't just about trade policy. This is about the future. The actions taken because of this order could fundamentally reshape who controls the essential building blocks of technology, of clean energy, and of modern defense. We could be watching a major shift in the global balance of power, and it all starts with the minerals right there in your pocket.